The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, 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 hello. It's a Wednesday. Dave Fennoy here, and I can't start with a scratchy throat. Come on. Just back from Atlanta at VO Atlanta, which is growing every year by leaps and bounds. If you were there and I had the opportunity to say hello to you, it was my pleasure and had a great time. Great group of people there, and let's see, a little housework here. I may run out of juice, so I'm gonna plug in my iPad here. You can tell how professional an operation this is by there we go. We won't run out of juice, and already got some folks on Facebook Live, and hello to folks, there we go, on, where is everybody on the webcam? Hello, we had some people there, I don't see you now. Anyway, if you have questions, that's what this is all about. Dave Fennoy, ask me anything. And as I was saying, I have just returned Monday morning from Atlanta, where I attended VO Atlanta, and wow. Attendance is up by another 100 or so people from last year, and so much information. You know, we are living in a very different world than the world we once lived in for voiceover. When I came along, you got your demos, you got your agent, you went to your agents for auditions, you went to the studios to work, and that was it. Now you did a little self-promotion, but there's so many more opportunities in voiceover now. I've mentioned before that there's kind of two tiers, not that one is better than the other, or not even that one is more lucrative than the other. One is high profile, one is not. If you're in a high profile situation, you're doing promos for television, you're doing commercials that show up on radio and television, you're doing cartoons, you're doing video games, you're doing narrations that might show up on National Geographic, Discovery, so forth and so on. But there's a huge career to be had doing audiobooks, e-learning, and corporate narration. There is so much work there. It's a $356 billion industry in corporate narration and e-learning. So if you're having issues trying to have a high-profile career, you can have a very lucrative career without being on television and radio. So just so you know, I sat in on two young ladies who were teaching people how to find clients, how to contact clients, and how to bill clients once you got the work. And it was very, very, very enlightening. Carrie Olson was one of those ladies, and I'm going to have her on as a guest. She has promised, so we're going to do that in a week or two, and just talk about that whole other world of voiceover that a lot of people don't know about, or they are in, and they're thinking, I'd like to get to that high-profile stuff, and you know what? Maybe not. Or maybe you want to do both. Anyway, let's see. Let's start with some questions here. Going to go to webinar. Do you ever have times when you re-record during the same session and it doesn't sound the same? More tinny. No, my studio is pretty solid. So recording to recording to recording is the same. Sometimes you do run into something. I've had problems sometimes where the tubes have finally worn out on my preamp and had to replace those, and that was getting noisy. Usually if something like that happens, it's a malfunction, but it's not one recording to another and then not back. That sounds like something's loose somewhere, if that's what you're saying. Usually if you have a problem, once it starts, it continues. And let's see. Hello, everybody on Facebook. Let's see. Well, it's telling me who's watching. Aw. I love Carrie. She was amazing. That was an amazing presentation they did. Cookies, chocolate chip, or peanut butter. Well, at least that's better than briefs or boxers. Anyway. Okay. When's the next time I'm going to be doing live event? How long have you had those dreads? Now, Tiffany, this is voiceover questions. But about 20 years with the dreads, and I'll let everybody know when I'm having another live event. I don't have anything planned just at the moment. I have a question. How do you answer a question from an agency that considered hiring you? The question is, are you union? And if you are, do you do non-union work? Wow. Well, if you're union, you're union, and strictly speaking, you're not supposed to do non-union work. There is a way to do it. You'd have to go FICOR, which is you are kind of semi in the union. You are paying your dues. You still are able to do union work. You're still able to get your pension and health care, but you lose the right to vote. And ostensibly, the union can not let you back in if you ever decide you want to come in. I don't know of anybody that's happened to, but if you're, in the netherworld of union, non-union, that's how you have to do it. And let's see. Yeah, many are not high profile. Very true. Very true. Wow. Hello from Brazil. Love that. John Ciano, who was there, one of the greatest experiences of my life. When I started my career, we didn't have anything called voiceover conventions. There was not nearly as much work as there is now. And that's a good thing, and it has also caused some issues within the voiceover industry. The biggest issues being I speak for a living, really. The pay-to-play sites, and specifically one, which I'm not going to mention their name. You know who they are. That really, although what they're doing isn't illegal, it's really unconscionable. They just really rip off voice talent. And that's been driving our prices down. I sat in on a negotiation when I was on the promo caucus for AFTRA then, before the two unions got together. It was in New York, and I and a number of other people, voice actors from LA went. There were some voice actors from New York. And sitting across the table, the negotiators for management, the first thing they said to us, well, we don't really need you guys. We really ought to be paying you only $25 a promo, and we don't really need you. We could get anybody to do this, which is often the way ownership management feels about the people who do the work. And the pressure has been on, trying to push down the costs of voice talent for years. So it's incumbent upon us to keep rising, keep asking for more money. And there was some talk at this convention of really creating a grassroots organization, kind of like a union, but not the union, that we get to kind of agree with each other what prices are and help each other from other countries agree what prices are. Not sure how that's going to go. But it sounds like a good idea, and I love the idea because there was a large international crowd at this conference. We had people from Europe, we had people from South America and Central America, and there's a quite a bit of coming together of different parts of the planet in the voiceover world. And ultimately, I think that'll be a good thing. Okay. Well, hey there. Okay. Okay, I see. Yeah, Morgan. I've always wanted to check it out. You know, I'm going to suggest, because the world I lived in when I came up, there weren't any conventions. You didn't need any conventions. There is so much to learn now. I didn't have to have a home studio. I didn't have to find my own clients. For the most part, still don't. But there are lots and lots and lots of categories of voiceover work where you're going to find your own clients. You need to, or work within, or if you're not finding your own clients, maybe you're finding them through a pay-to-play site. But maybe you're billing your own clients. How to take care of that bill, that billing, how to contact clients, stay in touch, how to have the business side of your voiceover career come together. And there was just so much there beyond how to do the work. And when you talk about how to do the work, some of the very best voiceover teachers on the planet were there. So, I mean, one of the things that annoyed me was, well, I want to go sit on their classes because they're good and I'd like to learn something from them too. But I was too busy teaching my classes. But all in all, it was a great time. There were great parties that for some reason I didn't go to. Just next time, if you didn't go, go. I know in November, that's VoiceOver and the Voice Arts Awards are coming. If you missed VoiceOver Atlanta, don't miss That's VoiceOver. All right. Let's see. From Thomas, I have a potential client that is demanding a specific microphone be used. In this particular case, it's a Neumann U87. Don't know if they're demanding vintage or not, because they say they want it to sound the same as their other stuff. Obviously, I don't have that mic. Any advice? You could rent one. That might be a way to go. If they're willing to, you might actually even do a test with your mic to see if it's in the ballpark. I'm not sure you want to spend, $2,500 or more for a microphone for, I don't know how much your job is paying, probably not that much, or see if they'll do a mic test to see if your mic works well enough for them. A lot of times people are just a little too picky with what mic they want. The U87 is a great mic, but not for every application. It likes a big room. If you have a TLM 103, it's the same capsule. It's a little more forgiving of a lot of things. So see if you can talk to them, get them reasonable. I'm seeing perpetuity and buyouts more and more these days. Do you see this becoming more of the norm in voiceover? And what's your advice concerning how to dissuade clients concerning this? Well, clients have learned, geez, if I get this thing, I could run it for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or forever years and never have to pay this guy again. Or no, in this case, Krista, this woman again. I think you write it into your contract and you educate them on, educate your client on what it is they're really asking for when they're asking for perpetuity, that you just aren't willing to do that. Give them a year, maybe 2, if the price is high enough. But they really need to understand that the work is one thing, the usage is another. Now, if you're union, typically you have that covered. You have a spot's running 13 weeks. After 13 weeks, they got to pay you again. Not bad. And I have run into this too, where people want to buy out your work in perpetuity. They got to pay more. They got to pay more. They got to pay for that. And make sure you're educating them and not selling yourself short. Let's see. Hello, kids. How are you? How are you? How are you? How are you? I guess I need to go the other way. Let's scroll up and see what other questions we have. Can you please see my career? It's so important. Huh? I'm not sure, Sue, what you mean by that. Hey, Pamela. Hey, John. Hey, Tiffany. Oh, boy. You know, the one thing about Facebook Live is you got to scroll through all of these. Do you know some good websites for getting some voice acting jobs? Let's see. Else's, that's probably a typo, then Casting Call Club, Voice Acting Club, or BTVA. Merci. Once again, there's a couple ways to go. I mean, the pay-to-play sites are there. Voices123 isn't that bad. The devil, though, voices.com is stealing from you. But you can, if you're willing to do the work, you can find your own clients. It takes a little longer, a lot of Google searches. If you're interested, you could find all the e-learning producers and start contacting them on your own. You could find the corporate narration producers and start contacting them on your own. There are ways to skin that cat, but it's going to take you a little more time and a little more work. And you can do it internationally. Also, if you're not union, keep knocking on the doors. If you maybe you've Taft-Hartley'd and you got a client that are paying you what is essentially union scale or a little better, because sometimes that happens. Talk them into becoming union. Their benefits to you, their benefits to them. They have a wider talent pool of people who have been doing this a long time and do it well. And it benefits the people that they have working for them. You're going to, I can help with my health care. I get a pension there. Appeal to, their good side. Okay. How do you know if they use after the set time? Good question. Now, once again, takes me back to union. If you're SAG after, you've got somebody tracking what's going on with that. Otherwise, it's usually luck if you find out something's being played that shouldn't be being played. Okay, not counting the mics that are put away. Do you put covers over your mics when they are not in use overnight or over extended periods of time that you're in your booth? Actually, no. I probably should, but I typically don't. Every now and then I'll throw, if I'm going to be gone for a few days, I'll throw a rag over them to keep the dust out. But typically, no. I've got the 416 hung in there now. It's been hanging in there for a while, and I'll just kind of dust. I probably should take more care of them, but I tell you what, every other microphone is in a box in a closet someplace, so they're all taken care of. Is it harder to get into an LA agency when you're not a union actor? Absolutely. Because most of the jobs, because there are some agencies now that are handling both union and non-union, but they prefer union talent or somebody that they know, hey, we can get this person going and into union quickly. It's very hard to get into union, period, now. Because so many people are knocking on the doors, or to get an LA agency, I mean, because so many people are knocking on the doors of voiceover. Typically, you need to be really good, have a very, very, very good demo, and hopefully be recommended by somebody. It could be the coach you're working with. It could be somebody that's at that agency. might be able to help you with something. Write a letter of introduction, or at least co-sign that this is somebody that they should listen to. And even then, there's no guarantee that you're going to be signed, but you want to get in the door. So many people are knocking on the door. Sometimes they're looking for reasons to say no, as opposed to reasons to bring you in. But good luck, Morgan. All right. Do you think we should dismantle the party system? No, let's have a party. What's wrong with you? Stefan, what are some vocal warm-ups you do before getting into the booth? I don't do a lot of vocal warm-ups. Hot tea with lemon and honey. And, I might move my mouth around a bit just so it's facile, as opposed to, somebody else's words. Sometimes they don't fit that well in your mouth. But I don't do a lot of stuff. I hydrate is mostly. Do you leave your gear on or turn it off when you're going to be gone for more than a day? If I'm going to be gone for a few days, I'll turn stuff off. Your solid state stuff, you don't really have to worry about that much. Your tube stuff, you really need to turn off every night, because the tubes stay hot and they wear out quicker. So remember to do that. One of the things you can do is have everything onto one plug. So you turn one thing off and everything you need to go off goes off. All right. Are union dues $3,000 per year? Union dues, I forget what the minimum is, but union dues are based on how much money you make. And I think it's less than that. Don't quote me, but I think it's about $1,500 a year. But if you're making, the more money you make, the more you're paying in dues up to a certain point. After a certain point, once again, I don't remember exactly where that is. I think it's about $115,000 or more. I don't remember. But after a certain point, they don't increase it anymore. All right. What, in your opinion, are the top 5 behaviors that account for your success as a voice artist, such as delivering your jobs on time? Well, let's say luck. Let's put that in there as one. Hard work, dedication to what I'm doing, showing up on time, attitude about what my job really is with a client. My point of view is that I am part of the process. I am a cog in the machinery. It's not about me. It's about the project. My job is to help you get what it is you want out of this project, whatever it is, whether it's TV promos, commercial, whatever. That's what I do, and I show up and do my thing. I'm pleasant, professional, try not to get in the way. I'm not a prima donna. And I think those are the things that work. And then I'm pretty good. Said the man with the ego. Okay. What's harder? What's harder to do? Get to where you are or stay there? Well, you know what? It takes work for both, and I've had the problem of sometimes. I can think of a particular time where I had a real drop in my career when the economy crashed in '08. So did my career. I'd gotten kind of lazy about seeking new business, and I have a mantra now: always be looking for new business. And my 2 biggest clients, which were about half of my income that I'd had for years, one went bankrupt, the other one went completely out of business. And suddenly, I found myself with half the income that I had, and like a lot of Americans, I had refinanced my house for this, that, and the other, and had to sell my house, didn't make a dime, move into a condo for a while, and scratch my head, and wow, what happened, man? It's terrible, the economy, it's the economy. Well, once I got over crying about the economy, I woke up and said, well, you know what? I just have to do what I did when I started my career. When I was really hungry to get this thing going, and I got in touch with clients and let them know that I was there, sent my demos around. Only instead of 1990 style, I had to do it 2008, 2009 style. And got on the internet, got to tweeting, linking in, got to, and this is still with union work, got to promoting myself again and not expecting the phone to ring just because I'm Dave Fennoy. This can be a tough business, but my recommendation is sometimes you have to look up from the work that's in front of you and, hey, what's the world doing and what do I need to do to stay vital and busy in this world? All right, good question, Sheldon Romero. What do reps submit for VO actors? You're auditioned. Let me try and understand that question. I'm going to assume I know what the question is. You're asking what do your representatives do for you? Somebody calls and says, "Hey, I'm looking for a voice that's like ABC," and then they can tell them about all the ABC voices that they have. Clients send auditions in for the various genres of voiceover, and the agent goes through their list of actors, and oh yeah, Dave Fennoy would be right for this. Let's send him one. Or, and they're not really asking for a Dave Fennoy type, but I think they're missing something. Let me include him on this, and might be a nice surprise because that does happen from time to time. But basically, your agent, if you book the job, negotiates your salary, and so you've got somebody on your side who wants to negotiate the price up, as opposed to the pay-to-play sites that are just happy to you paid us already, and we're taking some more of your money with this. They don't have skin in the game for getting you more money. They only have skin in the game for getting themselves more money. So agents and managers are better. Okay, let's see. How many auditions do you submit in an average week? I'd say about 20. About that. Sometimes more, sometimes less. Depends on the week. If I had, I am not the numbers guy. I'm not the guy that says, well, let's see, how many auditions am I sending in and how many am I booking? And in many ways, I might get fewer auditions than a lot of people because being a known quantity, they know what it is you do and they know what it is you're going to be good at. So they're very specific with what I send. And I think probably I have a pretty high booking rate because of that. But I've never really counted, some check off of I've done this week. I know some days I'm doing 8 auditions, some days I'm doing 2. And what did I say, about 20 a week? Yeah, it's probably more than that. It's probably more like 30 or 40. All right, let's go back over here. Let's see. Just got my character demo done a couple of months ago. Been submitting to various casting directors with whom I've been in touch. In addition to submitting to agents for whom I've been submitting my commercial demo, is there anything else I can do while I seek representation? Enlist some people on your side, maybe at those agencies. Maybe send them a note. What is it that you're looking for? What is your best advice? I would also look to find those workouts that happen at various places for an evening where they're bringing in an agent or a casting director. So you can show off your stuff in front of them. And even if you have sent in your demo and you get a no, be thankful for that no and continue that as a relationship. Kind of like guys do with girls. No, but you're going to love me. I know you are. No, I'm kidding. If they have taken the time to send you a note to say no. They thought enough of you at least to do that. Then, so if you could get another job in a couple of weeks, oh, hey, just, thanks for, sent you in my demo before, and I just got a job doing blah, 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 blah. And I just wanted to let you know, if you have a copy of the job, send that. Keep them apprised of what you're doing. Let them know that you continue to exist. You continue to knock on doors. If you're studying with somebody, hey, I'm interested in video game work. I've been working with Dave Fennoy. I've been working with Mary Lynn Wisner. I've been working with whoever that's going to be on their radar as somebody that can teach you something. All right. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. Hey, Gabe Kunda. Hi, Dave. I met you when I was a volunteer at That's Voiceover in New York last November. Oh, thank you so much for doing this. You're very welcome. I was surprised by how many people are checking this out and really say they're benefiting from it. So that makes me kind of happy. How did you feel about General Krell from Star Wars, Clone Wars? How was it like being him? He was one of the most interesting characters in the show. Just wondered how it was to give him life. Okay, I'm going to answer this one, but once again, this is not about me and my career. This is about questions for you to help further your career and things you might want to know about. And this is one, but not the direction. Anyway, I loved playing that character, the four-armed Jedi that turned out to be a traitor. I loved it. It was a lot of fun. All right. What time does your usual day start in your work process? Do you have a steady checklist of things you go through every morning, or just wing it as the work comes through? It's a little combination of both, winging it and I have a checklist. I usually, first thing I do is correspondence, and talk to this person that, and I don't get up that early unless I have to. I usually get up and I have a cup of coffee. I'll sit outside a little bit and then walk the dogs, or walk around the Rose Bowl. Come back, and then I get to work, and that's usually 9-ish, 9:30, unless I have a gig. Then I have to go out the door to wherever it is I have to go. The one thing I do notice, and it's kind of a joke in my mind anyway, that sometimes work gets in the way of your auditioning. You're going to get a certain number of auditions every day, and that's how you get work. So you really want to get those auditions in. As a matter of fact, I have a theory that our real job is auditioning, because the more auditions you get, the more work you're going to get. And you got to get those auditions in. And as we get more and more and more conveniences and can do more from home, what do? They give you less time. So I can't tell you how many times I've missed an audition or had to call my agent and say, hey, listen, I was working that job that you sent me on, and now you sent me this audition that was due an hour ago while I was at the job. Can I send it in late? Can we still do the audition? That happens now. That's the world we're living in. So a little bit of, I try to get, if my audition is due the next day, definitely jump on that. I prioritize my auditions by when they're due and how much money they're paying. And the reason being, I'm going to spend some time. I want my auditions to be perfect. In classes, you'll hear me say there are no auditions. There are only performances. So those performances need to be perfect. Well, if a job is paying $10,000, I'm going to spend a little more time with it than the one that's paying $250. Or not say let's spend a little more time. I'm going to get to it first because that's a priority. All right. How often do you participate in rewrites for scripts while on the job? Is it something you initiate, or if something doesn't read correctly or fit your character, is it typically the director that makes that determination? Sounds like you're pointing that at video games. It's rare. It's rare that I want to rewrite what the writer wrote. But occasionally that does happen. It's much more likely that I end up asking if I can rewrite something in a commercial. More often than not, they're rewriting all the time anyway. They wanted a 30-second spot, but they wrote a 40-second spot. And once they've heard it, they're like, oh, we got to eliminate something. Sometimes in a case like that, I'm making suggestions because back in the day, I was also a copywriter. So if I can help out that way and get them going so I can get out into the next gig sooner, great. But it's not something I'm looking to do, but I'm happy to do if it helps the overall project. Good question. Occasionally, syntax is messed up and you have to do something. Oh, well, thank you, Adam. I am having a wonderful evening. Somebody suggested for the person who asked about where to find jobs, somebody said the voice finder. Okay. I had not heard of the voice finder, but kind of lets you know what they do. Lee Michaels. What? If that's the same Lee Michaels I'm thinking it is. One of the baddest program directors ever. Hi, Dave. You mentioned FICO earlier. What are the agency's feelings about it? I'm not sure your agent is going to feel too bad about it, or your manager. There is a lot of rancor sometimes within the ranks of other voice actors. I am a union guy, and, I think we should all strive to get in the union and also help the union out. I've spent a lot of time on panels and showing up at meetings. Don't always do it, but I do it as much as I can. I used to be on a lot of committees. And the more we do that, the more the union really does reflect us. One of the problems with the union is that the technology is moving so fast. Sometimes the union is just a little behind. I remember when we were saying, hey, look, guys, we got to get these DVDs covered. And they were, oh, yeah, we'll get to that. Well, by the time they got to it, DVDs were not an issue anymore. So we need to involve ourselves and become, we'll definitely be voting members and join the committees so we can push the union in the direction that works for us. Once again, I don't think your agent wants you in the union. If you're FICOR, you're in the union, but and you're paying your dues and whatnot, and you can still work. So I don't think they're going to be too upset about that. All right. Dave, you made a point about making sure your demos reflect current VO styles. How do you know when styles have changed enough that your style is outdated? Well, you know what? Put yourself on a schedule. Redo your demos maybe every 18 months. Freshen them up. If you've got some new stuff, freshen them up. Now, I say this in the full understanding that I'm not doing I'm not refreshing my demos nearly enough. I might not have to refresh mine as much as yours. I really think I need to do, and I'll be talking about a project I'm going to be working with, redoing some demos soon. But if you are just starting, if you are, early in your career, first 2 or 3 years, you really your demos have to be right, because they're much more important to you than say me now. and I think they're important to me now. And I'm about to take care of the fact that I haven't updated my demos in a while. Oh, you make me feel so guilty. French voice actor, but working in English most of the time. I understand. I guess I cannot belong to any union. Can I only depend on the self-employed regime from this country I live in, which is France, or is there some way to belong to a union else than leaving Europe, which I wouldn't mind? I would only miss the cheese, though. Okay. Well, this makes me want to learn some things because I don't know I don't know about unions in France. I know France is a real union country for some other things. I don't know about a voiceover union. That's a good question. I'll have to do some research on that. If you are a French person living in France and you're wanting to do work in the United States because you're doing a lot of English work, can you be in the American Union? Wow. Okay, somebody may have an answer for me on that. If you do, holla. Okay, for non-Dave Fennoy VO person, what would be a good average audition to booking ratio, or how many jobs should one hope to book for every 100 auditions submitted? Wow. Once again, I'm not a numbers guy like that. I definitely know the more auditions you do, the more auditions you're likely to book. But if you're maybe doing 1 in 40 or 50, but you want a lot of auditions, then you may want to be doing 20 auditions a day. Do as many as you can, and you got to do them and then let them go. And I say that with the understanding that there are going to be a lot of things you don't remember that you auditioned for. And then there's going to be those jobs that, oh man, this would change my life. I just want this one. Oh, please, 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 God. And then you psych yourself up. I'm owning this. This is mine. That we actors do. But you got to let them go. You cannot live in the things you wanted that you didn't get. Live in the things that you got. And once again, do as many auditions as you can. Do them well, and your booking ratio is going to go up. Okay? Oh, let's... oh, yeah, the voice finder. Thank you, Tim Bamba. Oh, you're welcome, Tim. Is there a point where one should seriously consider joining the union based on a specific income level? I would like to say yes. But I know some people who are not in the union and are living in that nebulous world of e-learning and corporate nair and doing very, very well, and they're not in the union. I would like to see more of those people be brought into the union and more of those jobs finding their way to being delivered to voice actors by agents and managers. But so far, that's not necessarily the case. That's not what's happening. But if you're interested in animation, if you're interested in commercials, if you're interested in upscale narration, like for National Geographic, etc., and did I say animation, cartoons, video games? Yeah. Then you need to aspire to be a union member. Okay. Ta-da-ta-da. John Sizemore. Whoa. Also known as John Standing Wolf. That's why I call myself the new Native American name. Now I want to ask you a question. How do you do the voice of Lee? I didn't know that was coming. That one's pretty much just me tired. And, that's didn't have to do much to do that. Lee Everett very much reflects who I am, I think. And, I have a daughter, and so I could relate. So, there. Do you work with voices.com or Voices1T for most of your daily work? I don't work with either of them for my daily work. My work comes through agents. I happen to have a number in different cities, so I'm represented in a lot of areas, and I suggest that for especially union talent. If you're living here, you still want an agent in Chicago, New York, Dallas, Atlanta, Seattle, San Francisco, and other places, because there's good work to be had there. All those places have car dealers that you don't have here, have grocery store chains that we don't have here, have all kinds of stores and businesses that aren't here, that now you can get a foot in another market. So rather than work with Voices123 or Voices.com, I work with different agents. Okay, I will say for a long time I monitored both. I would monitor 1 year and just to see what they were doing. And how do you do all? Okay. How do I do all the voices in anime? You know, with anime, anime is a whole nother world, because you're trying to match the lip flap of the Japanese actor that came before you. So sometimes the syntax is a little crazy, but it's a very technical job and an acting job at the same time. How can you be sure that when you email an audio file for an audition that it is not being used in another country unbeknownst to you? Well, that could happen. You know, I think most people are more honest than that. I know it has happened to people, and it does happen from time to time, but most people, that's not what they want to do, especially if they want to work with you again. And the world, big as it is getting smaller all the time. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody you knew heard it someplace and, call you, email, hey, man, I heard your spot. What do you mean you heard my spot? I don't think it's being done. I don't think it's as big a fear as you like. There are people, however, who do what they put a watermark on their commercial, which means there's some kind of sound in it, one or two places, so that it really is unusable as a commercial now, or unusable to play. I think when you do that, you're basically telling the prospective client, that you don't trust them, which can be a problem. And I'm not sure that it's as necessary as you think it might be. If you've got a client that's doing that, wow. Well, if you find out, let the world know. Any auditions you skipped and then regret it later because it turned out to be a huge role for the VO artist that got the job? I don't think so. I can't remember any. Generally, I will skip an audition. Maybe I'm just too tired by the end of the day by the time I got to that one. And once again, which is one of the reasons I prioritize by what does it pay and how soon is it due. The sooner it's due, the sooner I'm going to get to it. And then within that, the more the pay is. And despite the fact that I love doing video games, I usually try to save those for late in the day as opposed to early in the day, because sometimes they can kind of scratch up your voice a little bit, and just want to, have my voice at its best for other things like narration and commercials. All right. Hiya, George. Have you ever recorded an audiobook? Yes, I have recorded 3, and I hope to never record a 4th. Audiobooks are not for me. Doesn't mean I don't do them well. I was nominated for an Audi, didn't win. But I'm not the guy to get in the studio for 4 to 8 hours and read that story. If that's you, go for it. I don't have any disrespect for people who do it. My buddy Scott Brick makes a great living and loves it. But you should do what you like to do. Every day shouldn't be a strain and a struggle. I want to look forward to coming down to my studio. And I do, if I've got commercials or narration, video games, cartoons, TV promos, love it, love it. Audiobooks, I don't love doing so much. So I'm not looking to do them. Plus, I'm going to tell the story. I know I've told the story before. Went into ABC. I was doing promos for them a number of years ago, and they handed me one word. It was next. They said, say that. Next. Get out of here. You're done. They put it on 25 spots, and a week later had a check for $5,000. One word. One word. I think of that whenever anybody offers me an audiobook job. All right. Can you play your most recent character or gaming demo and give us your critique of your demo? I'm not going to, you know what? You can go to my website and listen. My demo's a little different than your demo's going to be because I've been around a while and it's video. So you get to see the action of the characters. The critique I would give of my demo right now is I need to update it and put some characters, some newer characters on. That would be my critique. But you know what? Let me back up. And one of the things I hear in demos, especially for video games, is actors who it's overproduced. It's too crunchy. Too many effects. Too much compression. The music and the effects are too loud. You don't get a sense of who this actor is, what that actor's voice print is. Video games are going more and more narrative. There's a lot of wild and crazy stuff there too, but the acting style continues to be more subtle and more natural, more real. And I think your demo ought to reflect that this is the direction we're going in. Don't put bad accents on your demo. And certainly don't start with one. I've heard that and you never get an idea, well, who is this guy? I guarantee if they get a sense of your voice and you and that person that you are, letting these other characters speak through you. Think of your favorite actors who always seem to be playing themselves, that the voices are their voices, but the emotions and attitude and dilemmas of the characters are playing. But you believe those characters because the performances are so honest. Start bringing more of that to your demos. Sure, you can have some crazy characters, some AI, some monsters. You definitely want to have a sample that demonstrates that you can do efforts. But the most important thing, you want them to get a sense of you. All right. Google says your website may have been hacked. Yeah, they keep saying that, but it keeps doing okay. We're about to update that too. Hi, Dave. Is there a specific period of the day when the voice actor must be available to work? Yeah. 9 to 5, sometimes earlier. If you've got international clients, sometimes it's early. I don't have international clients every day, but when I do, a lot of times I have to accommodate what their schedules are on the other side of the planet. So I might be working at 7 o'clock in the morning or 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night, where ordinarily my day is like from 9 to 6 or 7. And I, if I'm not real busy, I might take some rest in there and do something else, go to lunch with a friend or something. But if that's the case, way early, I have to get up earlier so I can let the voice get that coffee in there and drink some water and blah, 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 shake my lips. And so I'm ready to go. And if I'm working something late at night, I have to make sure I maintain my voice long enough to handle whatever it is I've got to handle. Good question. Dave, what happened? What happened there? Oh, did I do that? Oh, there we go. Yeah, I turned it around. Dave, these chats are awesome. Thanks for being a great resource for us all. You are very welcome. It is my pleasure. Peace and blessings, Dave. Thanks, Tim. Alan, another great actor. Hi, Dave. Do you include improvs in your commercial audition, i.e., lead-ins or asides between sentences? Not the lead-in so much. There's kind of a thought with the lead-ins that you can't do it unless you have the lead-in. So it's people are going to judge you a little bit. Now, if you've got some ad-libs, especially for commercials that are humorous, in the middle, at the end, great. They love that. It endears you to them. If you can make people laugh while you're doing their commercials and still get the point of the commercial and sell the product, you'll get hired for that. But don't do the lead-in thing. It's kind of viewed as amateurish. You can do the lead-in thing, but then erase it, delete it, and just send them the rest of it. When is the best or worst time of the year to schedule you for training? Not December. From Thanksgiving through January, it's really tough. I'm going to be doing some traveling. I travel a lot anyway, but other than that, anytime. But one of the things I have to tell students of mine, especially ones that are taking private lessons, I may have to postpone you sometimes. As a matter of fact, I guarantee sometimes I'm going to have to postpone somebody and move it around a little bit because I'm a working actor and we live in a now world, and your agent calls and so-and-so wants to book you. When? I'm thinking 2 or 3 days later, they go, well, let's see, it's 3:30 now. Can you be there at 4? Or can you do it at 4? Things happen fast. Have you ever found that a voice was too rough on you physically when you were already deep in the session? If so, what did you do? No. Although I've had some sessions that were too rough. I haven't had one too rough in a long time. The one, I'm sure I've talked about it before, that really just chapped my hide. It was a pod racer game for Lucas. It was a 5-hour session. We don't even do those anymore. It was a 5-hour session. The whole thing was shouted in Huttese, the language of Jabba the Hutt. I did it just, in regular Huttese, whatever that is, and then in Huttese with a Jamaican voice, and then in Huttese with a homeboy voice. And the next day I didn't have a voice. I was supposed to do an announce for a sports program, award show, couldn't do it, voice was gone, had to cancel within a few days of the show, and that producer has never hired me again. Wasn't my fault, but so it goes. Oh, thank you, Teresa. I am feeling better. How do you deal with recording scratch with promise of finishing, only to be replaced and get paid nothing? What's your rule for that kind of? Well, that happens. That just happens. People will get you to scratch. You're gambling. And you need to know that going in. Hey, can you scratch on this? And then they end up hiring somebody else. Well, I like that somebody else's scratch better. And so you finished on it. But especially in scratching, usually we're talking trailers, movie trailers. Which, by the way, if you've been to the movies lately, there's a lot of movie trailers playing with no voices on them at all. but you scratch with the idea that maybe I'm going to get this, and it's kind of like an audition that they're going to use the audition as opposed to bringing you back in. Sometimes they still bring you back in, but hopefully this you'll finish on the scratch, as they say. So, John, Bailey, and good as you are, you're going to get your share, man. I know you do, don't you? Go on and answer that. How do you go about getting representation in other markets? You contact them and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, and I read about your agency because you have done your research. And then you send them your demo and see what they say. Or don't record the entire script for the audition, huh? Wait a minute. I've told clients that for the sake of time with my schedule, I only have time to record some of the script, but will record the entire script with at least 3 takes upon getting booked to protect from having my audio stolen. Once again, I'm not that paranoid. I probably trust people just a little bit more than that. Maybe I shouldn't. But one, I think you're telling that client that you don't trust them, that they are not trustworthy. And I think that makes it difficult to really create a good relationship with them. I understand why you're doing what you're doing. You're trying not to get ripped off. But I don't think it's a good practice. Just saying. That's me. Just me. Thank you, John. We're on the same page, man. He said he doesn't really enjoy doing audiobooks either. Lead in. Oh, yes. Glad I saw that. A lead-in is where the commercial starts. Sometimes when it's hot outside, you want to be cool. And you might decide that you don't have the feeling of sometimes. So you start with, sometimes when it's really, and that is going to be looked at by the person listening like, well, why couldn't they get into character as it was written? Why do they need that? Now, what's strange is if you had some funny ad lib to put on the end of it or in the middle of it someplace where it just fit and brought a little humor, levity to it, they'd be going, oh, bravo, bravo. But when it's to get you in the mood for that commercial, get you in the framework of it, the attitude of it, it's not looked on as a good thing. So if you need that, and I hope you don't, but if you need that and you're doing that, cut it off. You recorded it, but you cut it off before you send it in. That's the lead in. On occasion, when driving for a long distance, I find that playing our Ask Dave Fennoy Anything YouTube videos while I'm driving is very educational. Re-listening to the ideas and information you give helps reinforce your teachings, something the participants might benefit from since they don't have to watch the video, and that helps pass the time. Well, what a wonderful thing to say, Melvin. Thank you. And I hope it helps. Scratch. I'm glad you asked that because sometimes when you've been doing something for a long time, you take things for granted. A scratch track is a client, especially with movie trailers. Scratch track is we've got the whole trailer here. We want to put a voice in it to see what it sounds like. And we're looking for a particular kind of voice. And if you will voice this thing for us, that is the scratch. We'll put it on this, see what it sounds like. And if we really like it, we'll let you finish on it, which means it will go to the movie theaters and television. It will be a gig and pay you for it. But to do the scratch, we will pay you nothing or very little. Sometimes they will pay you to scratch. It's a nominal fee, a couple $100, something like that. But that's what a scratch is. All right, we're at 7:03. I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to call it a night. I'm available on Open Coaches all the time. I don't know. They're supposed to be updating my availability all the time. If you can't go through there, just go to davefennoy.com and you can find me there. Okay, one more. You know what? Not one more. Because it's 7:04. I'm only going to do this for an hour. I mean, it's free after all. Come on. Hey, once again, I'll go back to the beginning. I encourage you to go to voiceover conferences. VO Atlanta is just tremendous. It starts on a Thursday, ends on Sunday. There's lots of giveaway of everything, stuff, of information. You find yourself part of a community. And people who want to help you and share information and exchange information. It's just a really good feeling, and I encourage you to, if you're trying to get in voiceover, get in the community, join the Facebook groups, join the if there's LinkedIn groups, join the different voiceover groups. Get yourself in a voiceover workout group. You want to be with the people who understand what you're going through. Your mama loves you. She may not understand. She may be able to listen to your reads, but can't give you a real critique because that just sounds wonderful, honey. You're so good. You want people that you can trust their ears, not just the love, like Mama has. So anyway, until next Wednesday, signing off on another Ask Dave Fennoy Anything. All the best. And bye, Facebook.